we'll start with the class by going through some information here about your finals. So your final informations, I think you guys got an email from me last week. So again, it's posted in D2L. So the finals is next Monday, which is December 13. We don't have a final on December 15, the Wednesday. So everyone will be taking the finals on Monday, December 13. It goes from 12 to 1:30 in CLA 114. It will cover chapter 4 and chapter 11. Chapter 4 is only 4.3 and 4.4. Chapter 11 is 11.1 to 11.3, which will go over 11.1 and 11.2 and 11.3 today. The arithmetic and the geometric sequence and the series, and then 11.5 we'll do it on Wednesday. There are around 12 to 14 questions in your test. It comes with parts. You are allowed to use a scientific or a graphing calculators during this test. You're also allowed to use one page of your notes, just the front page, and your review is right here. And so you ask me, where is this review from? This review actually comes from your textbook. So let's say click on the review. It comes in your textbook here. So the key to this, the ACE solution, the solution is actually in your textbook. So this is from this is from chapter 4. So what you do is you go to your ebook. If you don't have an ebook, you just go to your textbook, go to the end of page as exam 4 for chapter 4 and exam 11, chapter test 11 and chapter test 4. So where you go is you go to the ebook, you go to the chapter 4, and then you go to the chapter 4, the exam. So you go to the chapter test, and there are these questions here. So if you look at the review here, question 12. So question 12 is this question. She's still loading. So it'll be x. It'll be here. So it'll be x squared minus y squared over 4 equals 1. So this is exactly the same as this. So you just need to go click on the answers, and here is the answer. So this is for chapter 4. So chapter 4, you go to the chapter 4 test in your textbook. This is gap from question 12 to 20. So if you look at question 12 to 20, these are your questions, and then the answers right below it. And same thing happens on the other page. This is for chapter 11 here. So the only thing is I changed this question 6 and question 12. So don't look at the answer because the answer is a little bit off since I changed it. So where we get this is, again, you go back to chapter 11 and then go to the chapter test, and you will get your answers in this case. Okay. So you go to chapter 11, and then you go to chapter test, which is chapter test over here, very end of chapter 11. And then the first question, they're all exactly the same. So the only, so the one is, there you go, -1. So it's going to be exactly the same question, and your answer is right over here. Okay, so if you click your answer, it's right over here. So please practice this. In your this is for your tests, for your finals, and don't forget your final is 25% of your overall grade. So that means it's a big chunk of points here. So I would recommend you guys to practice this. Anyone have any questions on your review for your finals here? We're going to continue with today's class, which is the arithmetic sequence and the geometric sequence. So what is an arithmetic sequence? An arithmetic sequence in this case is your terms are the difference between the consecutives are the same. So that means that the difference can be addition and subtraction, means that you keep on adding and subtracting a same number. to the next term. That is what we call as an arithmetic sequence. We use D in this case for the difference. To find the difference, you just take the second term minus the first term, or the third term minus the second term. That is how you find the D. We call it as a common difference. And in order for you to figure out the nth term of this arithmetic sequence, the formula in this case is an equals to a1, that means the first term, plus n minus 1d. N in this case is what is the terms you need to do, you need to find. So n in this case can be 10. 10 means it's a 10th terms. So for example, this is n is 1, n is 2, n is 3. So when I ask for 10, means you are looking for the 10 terms. And this is the formula to figure out your an term. And then a minus 1, and then you multiply this with d. And if you want to sum the finite arithmetic sequence, that means if you want to add a finite arithmetic sequence, your formula is Sn equals to n over 2, a1 plus an. And n in this case is also the term. So how many terms we have to add? A1 is the first term, an is the last term. Okay, so make sure you guys know all this. So n in this case is the term. What is the last term? What is the last term? The number of last term. And an in this case is your last term. Okay. Now, if a question provide you what is the last term, then you will use this formula. But if a question did not provide you the last term, then you just substitute an with this formula. So, so that means that your sum of a finite terms for the sum for the finite term for an arithmetic sequence is Sn, n over 2 times a1 plus an, first term plus last term. But since we know an is given us by this formula, so the an term is given us by the formula of a1 plus n minus 1d. So you can actually substitute this into an. So what we have in this case is n over 2 times a1, because we got a1 plus a1, so we got 2 of them, plus n minus 1d. So you can also use this formula. So there are 2 formulas to find your sum of the finite arithmetic sequence, because when you add them up, you can actually, if you know the last term, use this formula because it's very easy. But if you do not know the last term, you just know the first, second, and third terms and follow all the way, then I will recommend you to use that formula. So there are 2 formulas here, and it has to be finite. The reason why that this is a finite, it cannot be infinite, is because when you add infinite terms, it will go to infinity. So we don't do the infinite term when we do the sum, because when you add this will go to infinity. Okay. So so when you do the arithmetic sequence, we always do the finite sum of the finite terms in this case. Okay. So let's take a look at the first few examples of this arithmetic sequence. The first question is asking us number 1, and number 2 is asking us determine whether this sequence is arithmetic. If it's an arithmetic sequence, find D. Okay. So question 1 in this case is given us by 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, and so on. So in order for us to figure out if this is an arithmetic terms, you look at the D. And how do we find D in this case? Is you take the second term minus the first term. So in this case is 2 minus 1 is 1. And you also need to take the third term minus the second term, and they should be the same. So in this case, 4 minus 2, this is 2. So you find out that this is not the same, because in order for us to figure out its arithmetic, these 2 should be equivalent. So since this is not equivalent, so this is not an arithmetic sequence. Okay. So how do you figure out arithmetic sequence? Is you find the difference between the second and the first, and the third and the second, or if you want, you can do the fourth and the third. Okay, either one is fine. So as long as they are the same. Okay, and you can tell that when you take the fourth minus the third, which is 8 minus 4, this is 4. You can tell that this is not arithmetic sequence because the difference here is not the same. You have any questions? Same thing happens in question 2. So in order for you to find the if this is an arithmetic sequence, you just take the second term minus the first term. So 5.7 minus 5.3. And then you also take the third term minus the second term, 6.1 minus 5.7. Anyone got an answer here?
.4.
This is not positive. This is a what?
Negative.
Negative. So don't forget, your D can be positive or negative. So so both of them are negative 0.4. So is this an arithmetic sequence? Question 2 is an arithmetic sequence. Okay, and the difference here is 0.4, negative 0.4. Sorry. So what is the meaning when your no, this is not negative. This is positive. What the heck? Yeah, sorry. This is positive, right? So sorry about that. Nikita, you're correct. This is positive 5.7 minus. So if your common difference is a positive, means your number is going up. If your common difference is negative, means your number is getting smaller. Okay, so that is the meaning. Sorry about that. This is a 0.4, not negative. So this is an arithmetic sequence, and you can tell that you keep on adding 0.4. That is the D, the common difference. This is the arithmetic sequence in this case. So it's not too difficult in this case. So the question here is given us like question number 5, and they want you to find the AN. Okay, question number 5, they want you to find your AN formula for AN. So in this case, we will using this formula to do for question 5. Okay, so if I give you 4, 3/2, -1, -7/2, and so on. Can someone tell me what is your A1 and what is D in this case? If you know this, you plug this into this formula and you're done. So anyone know what is A1 in this case? And what is D in this case? A1 stands for what? Anyone know what A1 stands for?
Term 1.
First term. So can you tell me what is the first term in this sequence?
That'd be 4.
That'll be 4. Yep. So A1 is the first term, 4. D is the same thing we just did over here. So you just need to take the second term minus the first term. So D in this case will be 3/2 minus 4. Okay, always take the second term, or you want to take the third term minus second term, doesn't matter. So anyone know what is 3/2 take away 4?
-2.5.
2.5. Okay, and it's negative. You can tell that the reason why it's negative is the sequence are getting smaller or become 4, 3/2. You can tell it's subtracted smaller. So yep, that would be negative. And then what you do here is plug all this back into the formula. So AN in this case will be 4 plus N minus 1 times -2.5. And then you just, simplify this. So 4 minus 2.5n plus 2.5. Okay, so 2 negative become positive, and then you add the 4 and 2.5, you get 6.5 minus 2.5. So this is your an term in this case. So it's very easy to do arithmetic sequence. Is if you know your A1 and if you know your D, you should know the rest of it. Okay. Questions with this one? So question 5 is easy because you can just looking at the, this is the first term and this is your D you can find. But question 6 is a bit difficult because question 6 is given us by A5 is 190 and A10 is 115. So can someone tell me what is A5 stands for? What's A5 means?
That's the 5th term.
That is the 5th term. So the question did not give us the first term, did not give us a second term, did not give us a 3rd term, did not give us a 4th term, but the 5th term is 190. And A10 stands for what? That will be the 10th term. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we know it's 190, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is 115. So this is what the question provides to us. And you need to find your AN term. So again, you need to figure out what is your A1 and your D. And once you know your A1 and D, you just, I think you guys know what to do, right? Plug it back in the formula. So the question in this case is, how do we find A1, which is the first term? And how do we find D? D is the difference between, this. So this kind of questions you will get in my finals, where you have to think, not like the one like number 5, say, oh, A1 is this one and D is that, subtract those two up. So you need to think about how we figure out the D first. So once you know the difference, you should know what's going on. So anyone know this?
Would it be find the difference between A5 and A10 and then divide it by 5?
Yes, very good. So in this case that we know this difference is going to be a negative. The reason why the difference is going to be negative here is because your number is going to get smaller. So in order for you to find this difference, you just take A10 minus A5 because the question knows A10 and A5. And this is equals to 5D. The reason why this is a 5D is because from here to here is one difference. From here to here is another difference. So you got 5 of this difference. So that's why it's 5D. So as what Damon says, you have to subtract this. So it's 115 minus 190. And then you have to divide this by 5. So this is how you find the difference. So what's the difference in this case? Anyone?
-15.
So it's -15. And now you need to figure out your A1. So we can use back the formula here, or you can use back this formula. A5 minus A1 equals to how many D's? So from here to here, how many D's we get? So A10 to A5 is 5D. So A5 to A1 is how many D's? That will be 4D. Okay. Again, how do I get 4? Is you just subtract 5 and 1. Same thing here. How to get 5? Subtract. A5 is 190. A1, I don't know A1. But we know D because D is -15 from from this answer here. So what you do is solve for A1. You guys know how to solve it, right? So what is A1 here? So for A1,
250.
250. And then what you do is just plug this into this formula to find your AN term. So AN in this case is 250 plus N minus 1 times D. D is negative 15. And I think the rest you guys know what to do, right? So this is very simple. Mostly the challenge here when I give you this kind of work is you need to know your D and A1, and that's how you do this. Anyone have any questions here? I think your answer here is 265 minus 15N. I think this is your answer. Questions? What do you think about this section of arithmetic sequence? It's not too difficult, right? You know the formulas. These are the formulas that I mentioned here. If you know your formulas, you will be able to do your figure it out. And if you doesn't know your formulas, I will say that's the end of it. Or you use the wrong formula, I will say that's goodbye. Okay. And don't forget, you're allowed to use one front page of notes in your test. So make sure you have all this formula transferred to it. Okay. Next, this is kind of the same thing, sub 7 and 8. So again, the question here is not finding AN, the question asking you to find the first 5 terms. So it'll be very similar to what we did over here. So once you find AN is this, so finding the first 5 term will be easy. You just plug N is 1, N is 2, N is 3, N is 4, N is 5. Then you will get the first 5 term, okay? But again, for me is I want you guys to practice because this is kind of questions you get in my test. So on question 7, I want you guys to figure out what is your D and your A1, given that A8 is 26 and A12 is 42. Okay. Tell me what is your D is and what is your A1. I think once you know this, you should know how to give me the first 5 terms. It's not going to be a problem. I want you guys to do question 7 on your own here. Again, A8 means the 8 terms. A12 means it's the 12 terms. Right, anyone know what is number 7? How you find D in this case? How you find D here?
Wouldn't it be A12 minus A8 is equal to 4D?
So A12 minus A8 equals to 4D. Yep. So A12 is 42, right? And A8 is 26. And then you divide this by 4 because that is your D. Yep.
How is it only 4? D.
Because from 8 to 12, you got 4.
Okay.
So what you get? So you get 4, right?
Yeah.
Then how do you find A1?
You do A8 minus A1 is equal to 70.
Yep. Gain is 7 because 8 minus 1 is 7. 8 is 26. A minus A1, he doesn't know A1. 7 times D is 4. Okay, because you find out that early on your D is 4. So again, you can solve for this. This is not that difficult. So what is A1 in this case?
-2.
-2. So since the question wants you to find the first 5 terms, we know A1 is -2. So what is the next term is you just need to add your D. So what's -2 plus 4? You get 2. And then you keep on adding 4 because your D is 4. So 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 plus 4 is 10. 10 plus 4 is 14. So this is your first 5 terms that they want you to do. Okay. So again, class, for arithmetic sequence, if you know A1 and D, you should know how to do the rest of the work here. Questions, anyone? So far we are doing is what we call as finding the terms, AN terms. But in next question, which is 10, 11, 12, 13, they want you to find the sum. So again, when you find the sum, you don't use the AN formula because that is the term. You want to find this. So this is a formula for this. Sn equals to n over 2a1 plus an. If you know your first and your last term, otherwise you have to plug in the an over here, then you will get the second formula for the sum. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we are not going to do question number 10 here because this is too simple. You can actually take out your calculator and add them up, right? So in your test, you won't get till 19 because literally you can just take out your calculator and add this up. So I'm going to change the question to not 19, but to 451. Okay. So 1 plus 4 plus 7 plus 10 and so on. This is an arithmetic sequence. How do we know this is an arithmetic sequence? Anyone?
D is constant.
Which is in this case is
3.
3. Yep. So this good news is we know A1 is 1 and D is constant, which is 3. The formula now we know the last term, which is 451, not 19, 451. So we can use the formula of Sn over by n over 2, A1 plus An. Now the good news is we know the first term, which is 1, and we know the last term, which is 451. So the only missing part that we don't have is the n. So how do you figure out the n here? That means how this 451 is, what term is it? This is a 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we figure out what's 451. Now, please do not take out your calculator and add 1 plus 4 plus 7 plus 10 plus 13 and on to 451. You will be defeating the purpose of this class because you will spend a lot of time compared to some students know the formula. So my main question is, how do we know n for this 451? So we just use our formula that you just figure out here is an is equals to a1 plus n minus 1d. Okay, so we are looking for n in this case. This is the one that we are finding. So an is these terms that we have, the last term, 451. A1 is 1. N minus 1 times d is 3. So we are solving for n here. So what we do here is we will subtract 1 first to get rid of this. So it's 450. And then I don't distribute, actually I divide this by 3. So when I divide this by 3, what I left here is just n minus 1.
Why don't I distribute it?
Because you are doing the same thing when you distribute, because it's faster for us to just divide here. Okay. You will still get the same answer if you distribute 3. This is 150. So n in this case is what? 151. Yes, you can distribute a 3. You're still gonna get 151. So what is this 151 means? 151 means that this 451 is the 151st term. So this is first term, this is second term, this is third term, fourth term, this is 151. And that is the n that is missing. So now we are finding for what happens when you want to add all 151 terms. That means up to 451. So it's 151 over 2. A1 is the first term, 1, plus an in this case is 451. So this is the dilemma of students that they cannot figure out what is the n here. So this is how you figure n. And then you use your calculator to figure this one out. This is easy.
Wait, I'm confused. Isn't n supposed to be the last term?
Yeah, this is the last term. No, n is the number of the last term.
Okay.
So let's say this is your first term. This is your second term. This is your third term. This is your fourth term. And the first term is 1. The second term is 4. Third term is 7. Fourth term is 10. This is called the n. So we doesn't know 451 is what n is this. So this is how you figure out your n in this case.
Gotcha.
A will be the last term. So once you see the word A, this is your last term.
Okay. I get
The
it.
n in this case is the position of it. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, okay. I see.
And because 451, we doesn't know what position is it. So we have to find the position, and this is how we find the position. So 451 is actually number 151. Anyone got a calculator to help me to add this one, to do this? This is simple. You're able to do it in your calculator. So this came up to be 34,126. Questions, anyone? Right, next we're gonna continue here is now this one they will tell you your n, and you just need to figure out what is your first and your last term. Let's do question 12 and 13. Let's do 11 here. 11 and 12. Let's do 11 first. So we are looking for the sum of the integers from -100 to 30. What is the meaning when I say sum of the integers from -100 to 30? Means you take -100 plus -99. Integers means these numbers, plus -98 plus -97 plus 30. So this is the meaning of sum from -100 to 30 for the integers. So you take all these numbers and add them up. So this question number 11 is very similar to question number 10 that we do. So we know the first term, A1, is -100. And this is an arithmetic sequence because the common difference here is, what's the common difference here? 1 or -1?
1.
So it's -99 plus 100. This is 1. Okay. But we know the last term, which is your AN term, which is 30. So we use the formula of Sn equals to n over 2 A1 plus AN. So we know A1, which is -100. We know AN, which is +30. But we need to figure out what is n here. So this question very similar to the other questions we just did, number 10. So I want you guys to take this number and figure out what is your n in this case. What is the position of it? Look very similar to number 10 that we just did. So if you remember what we do in number 10, this is what we did over here. That's how you figure out your n term. So I want you guys to do the same thing on this question. How you figure out your n terms in this case. Even as A1 is -100 and your D is 1. So, anyone? $30 is equals to what? N equals to A1 plus N minus 1D. We're looking solving for N. So AN is 30. A1 in this case is -100 plus N minus 1 times D. D in the case is 1. So go ahead, solve for N for me here. What's N here?
$131.
Yep. So N is 131. That means this is 100. The position of this is 131. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. So now we know that N term is 131. So we can plot this using this formula over 2. A1 is -100. And the last term in this case is 30. So you can figure out what is your answer.
So I got negative 4,585.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Okay, that's correct. Now, for question 12, question 12 is given us -6, -2, 2, 6, and it's 50. Again, you have to find the sum. So sum means you need to add this up all the way when you reach 50. Okay. So this question doesn't provide us the last term. So you have to figure out what is the last term, in this case, the 50 terms. So once you know the 50 terms, you can just plug this into this formula. Okay. And we know A1 in this case is -6. D in this case is +4 because we keep on adding 4 here. 2 + 4 is 6. Okay. So now we need to figure out what is A50 because we need to figure out what is the last term we need to add, and that last term is the 50 terms. Okay. So n is 1 here, n is 2, n is 3, n is 4, n is 50. So in this case, we will use this formula again to find what is the 50 terms. So we got -6 plus, n in this case is 50. So 50 minus 1, this is n minus 1. D in this case is 4. So this one is not that difficult. If a question did not provide us the last term, you have to find the last term first. If a question provides us the last term, then you have to find the n for that case, like what we just did over here. This will become what? 49, right? 50 minus 1 is 49. So -6 plus 49 times 4, this is 190. So that means this fellow stops at 190. So now we can plug using this formula. So we are looking for the sum of all these 50 terms because you add all this is up to 50. N in this case is 50, so 50 over 2. A1 is the first term, -6. And A50 is the last term that we have here, 190. And you get your answer. So this is not too difficult. And again, this is an arithmetic sequence. So the reason why I keep on pointing this one out, this is arithmetic, is because in your test, you do not know this is arithmetic or geometric. The next section we're going to talk about is geometric. So make sure you guys know how to differentiate between arithmetic and geometric. So this section is all arithmetic because if you look at the series, you look at the sequence, you keep on adding a common difference. In this case, 4 is constant. Okay, you will see what happens in the next section when we talk about geometric sequence. So this answer will give us 4,600. So this is how we do this kind of questions. So in your test, please do not take out your calculator and start adding them. If you do so, then you are wasting a lot of your time because we're using formulas here. We're not using a calculator doing manually. Okay. So this question has some word problems like question number 14. So this question is asking for determine the seat capacity of an auditorium with 36 rows of seats, where the 15 seats are on the first row. So this they want how many seating capacity in this auditorium. So the first row has 15 seats. The second row has 18 seats. The third row has 21 seats, and so on. So on. And this is having 36 rows of seats here. So the question is asking for the total. So they're asking you for the sum. Okay. Now this 36 is your n, because there are 36 rows here. This is your A1 because this is your first row. D, if you look at this is arithmetic because D in this case will be 3 because after each row you add 3 extra seats. So you have to figure out how many seats are there on the last row. So on the last row, how many seats do we have? Because if you know this, then we can use this formula. So this is your AN, the last row, 36 row. So this is very similar to what we just did just now. So, so we need to figure out the 36 rows. So A36 is equals to A1, which is 15, plus N minus 1, 36 minus 1, times D, which is 3. Okay, so there's a formula here. So 36, do the orders of operation, do the parentheses first. So 36 minus 1 is 35. So how many seats are there on the very last row of this theater or this auditorium? So you got 120 seats on here. But the question wants you to find what is the total seats. So we will use this formula to figure out. So N in this case, we got 36 rows. A1 has 15. The first row has 15 seats. And the last row has 120 seats. So this is how you do question number 14. So it's pretty much very straightforward types. Arithmetic is actually the easiest geometric, actually the easiest series and sequence that we do here. So so this came out to be 2,430 seats here. So the total seats of the whole auditorium is this many seats. So this is for arithmetic sequence. So we talk about geometric. The reason why I need to bring this one out is because when you do your online homework, you'll notice that this section 11.2 is all going to be arithmetic. And then when you do 11.3, everything in section 11.3 is all geometric. However, in your test, sometimes I tell you what is arithmetic, the sequence is, and either they're arithmetic or geometric. Sometimes I don't even tell you that, so you have to figure it yourself. Okay, so how do we know that if this is a geometric sequence? A geometric sequence in this case will use the ratios. Okay, so we don't use the difference, we use the ratio. So what is ratio means? Ratio means divide. So in order for you to figure out if this is a geometric sequence, we use R instead of D. Is A2 over A1, A3 over A2, A4 over A3 is the same, that's equals to R, and we call that as your common ratio. So this is the difference between geometric and arithmetic sequence is D and R. So D is a difference, so you subtract them. This is a ratio, so we divide them. Okay, so make sure you guys know this is very important. In order for us to find the nth term of a geometric sequence is an equals to a1 times r to the power of n minus 1. Again, r is a common ratio. A1 is your first term, n is your nth term. For the sum, geometric sequence has two types of sum. One is to the finite and one is the infinite. Okay, yes, we can add the infinite geometric sequence. So for a finite sequence, the sum of a finite geometric sequence is given us by the formula of A1, 1 minus r to the n divided by 1 minus r. Okay. For the geometric, infinite geometric sequence, the only thing you need to watch out for this is make sure that your R has to be less than 1. Okay. If your R absolute value, so if your absolute value of R is greater than 1, then the sum of the infinite geometric series here will be undefined, DNE. Okay. I'll tell you what's going on here. But if your R, the absolute value R is less than 1, then the sum of a geometric series in this case is A1 over by 1 minus R. So what I'm talking about here with this first thing is your R. So make sure that your geometric sequence, we use R. R is the ratio, so you have to divide. Actually, it's A2, not A1. So it's going to given us by A2 minus A1 or A3 minus A2 minus divide. It's divide, not minus. A4 divided by A3, so they all divide for common ratio. Ratio means you divide. And the nth term of this geometric sequence is given us by A1 times R to the power of n minus 1. And the sum, so Sn is given us by A1. This is the finite. Finite means it stops or it ends. 1 minus Rn over 1 minus R. Now for the infinite sum, we use the S infinity. Is A1 over by 1 minus R as long as your R is less than 1. Now this condition is very important. Is because I'll show you what's going on here. So let's say you have a geometric sequence. So this is a geometric sequence. How do we know this is a geometric, not arithmetic? Is because we did this before with common ratio, difference. This not works, right? Because this is what we did on the first example. Because if you subtract 2 from 1, you get 1. You subtract 4 from 2, you get 2. So you find out that the common difference is no good. But if you look at common ratio, this is 2 over 1, which is 2. And then you go to the next one, the next 2, 4 over 2 is also 2. So you find out that this is a common, this is a geometric sequence because the R in this case is 2. Now if I want you to add all this up, the sum of the infinite, it goes all the way to infinity. So this is DNE. Because this, if you look at this series, we add these all numbers up, you find out that it goes to infinity because this number is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So, 32, and then eventually this will go like millions and billions and so on. So to add this up to the infinity, it does not exist. Okay, so that's the reason why because your R in this case is greater than 1. Okay, it's 2 in this case. So that's why you have this this infinite series is going to it will be DNE. However, if you get something like this, now this, you notice that this is also a geometric sequence where your R in this case is 1/2. Just 1/2 divided by 1 is 1/2. Quarter divided by half is also 1/2. So if you divide this, then you will get half. If you want to find the sum of this series, this will become A1 over by 1 minus R. This works is because this number will if you go to this, if you keep on multiply by 1/2, this will end up to be very, very close to 0, not to infinity. This because the next one is 1 over 32. So the fractions that you give it to me here is getting smaller and smaller. It approached to 0, very close to 0. So this kind of geometric series, you can find the sum of it. And the reason why is because of your R. So if your R is less than your absolute value of R in this case is less than 1, you notice that this geometric sequence is called the converge. Yes, this is what you learn in your calculus too. It will converge to 0. So that means it will getting closer and closer to 0. Then we will have the sum of the infinite series. However, if you have this is what we call as a diverge. Diverge means that it gets to infinity because the sequence is getting higher. So the geometric sequence is getting higher. We can tell when your R is greater than 1, so it's diverge. Then the sum of the infinite series is DNE. So this is something very important, especially when you go to Cal 2, you will talk a lot of convergent and divergent series. That's where you do this in your Cal 2. So it's very important. Okay, so converge means it converge to a number. Usually 0, sometimes can be 1, sometimes can be 2, sometimes can be like pi. Again, you will learn all this in your calculus 2 class. Okay? But what I want to point out to you is a divergent sequence is goes to infinity. A convergent sequence means the sequence is getting closer to a number. Okay. All right. We'll not talk about that. Determine the first 5 terms. No. Okay, we'll do this one. Where was that? There you go. So question number 5 here. So this question number 5 is calling us to figure out what is the nth term of a geometric sequence. So nth means you need to find the an terms. Given us that a1 in this case is 5, r is 7/2. And then after that, they want you to find a8 term because the n is 8. So first find the an term first, and then after that you replace n with 8. So in order for us to find the an term, this is actually a1 times r to the power of n minus 1. So this is a formula for geometric sequence for the an term. Okay, so it's a1 r to the power of n minus 1. So so just substitute your a1 and your r here. So it'll be 5 times 7/2 to the power of n minus 1. So this is actually very easy. Okay. Again, if you use the correct formula, this is actually easy. If you use the wrong formula, everything is wrong. And then the question here is asking us to find what is the a8 terms. So you just need to substitute your n to become 8. So in this case, this will become 7. Okay, because 8 minus 1 is 7. So you just use your calculator to figure out what is 5 parentheses 7/2 to the power of 7. That will be your a8 terms. It's going to be your decimals. Make sure you guys know how to use your calculator to do this. This is not. This is like 32169.648. So this is your a8 term in this case. So it's geometric sequence, as I mentioned, formulas. If you use the right formula, that's not bad. Okay. Now, if I give you the a1 and the r, like same thing with arithmetic, you just plug in that formula and you boom, that's your answer, right? It's pretty much straightforward. But what happens if I
Well, I have a quick question.
Yes.
How did you get the power to 7 again? Just confirming.
Your a is 8.
Oh, okay.
8, because the question is asking us to find n is 8.
I got you.
So minus 1 will be 7. Okay. Now, if a question gives you like numbers 8 here, a4 is negative 18, and a7 is 2/3. And again, this is a geometric sequence. So this is something like what we did in the arithmetic sequence. Remember last time in arithmetic sequence, you do what? A7 minus A4 equals to 3D, right? This is what you guys did in arithmetic sequence. But don't forget, this is not arithmetic, this is geometric. Okay, so you cannot use this anymore because arithmetic, yes, you got it right. Okay, but geometric, you cannot do it. So because geometric, the D, we don't use D, we use R, it's a ratio. So in this case, it's gonna be A7 divided by A4 is equals to R to the power of 3. So it's a little bit different from the arithmetic because the 3 came from the subtraction 7 and 4, you get 3. But this time, this 3 is no longer on next to your R, it's in the power because a ratio means you multiply by itself. You multiply by 2, multiply by 2, multiply by 2, so that 2 to the power of 3 is 8 in this case. So so watch carefully here. This is for the arithmetic one that last time we did before. This is the geometric one that we're going to use now. So again, this question wants us to find your AN term. So the main ingredient is A1 and R. Same thing with your common, your arithmetic, A1 and D. So if you know your A1 and your R, you just plug it into this formula. And the rest is going to be the same. Okay. So finding A1 and R for this kind of questions is you have to do the ratio, not the difference. So you have to do the ratio. So you take this 2 and divide, and then you need to cube it because cube root it because it's a power of 3. Again, 3 came from the difference of 7 and 4. So A7 in this case is 2/3. A4 in this case is negative 18. And then this is R cubed. So you have to reduce, you have to divide this and take the cube root of this. So this is how you find your R in this case. Okay, so you take the cube root of this 2/3. So it's 2/3. Yep, take out your calculator and start divided by negative 18. It's a cube root. Do you guys know how to do a cube root in your calculator?
No.
Yes, you have a square root, right?
I press the math button and then it's number 4.
Yep. If you use a graphing calculators, you have it. If you which is what Adrian says, if you have a graphing calculator, you press the math button, which is number 4, which is a cube root. If you do not have a cube root, you can put this in power of 1/3. So you take 2/3 divided by 118 to the power of 1/3. It's the same thing. Okay.
Do you use your ABC button for the 1/3 or?
No, you just do parentheses 1/3.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have a graphing calculators, you use math, the 4th one. Yep, please try this. This is very important. Because these kind of questions I will ask in your finals. Please. Or this one, doesn't matter. So what your R in this case will be. You will get negative 1/3. Anyone here did not get negative 1/3 in your R?
I didn't.
How do you put it in your calculator?
I put in parentheses 2 ABC 3 divided by
You need
18.
another parenthesis. We don't use ABC in this case. We just use, and then another parenthesis. No ABC, it's all division here. Anyone beside Faris? Still got it, Faris, or no?
Yeah, I just got it right now.
So we don't use ABC. We only use ABC varies when you add, subtract fractions.
Okay.
So like this kind of work, we use the division symbol. So a lot of parentheses is used here. So you will get negative 0.333333, which you guys should know that is the meaning of negative 1/3. We know R now, so next we need to find A1. So does anyone remember how you find A1 if you have a common difference here? Remember how you find A1 last time? You take A4 minus A1 equals to 3D, right? This is what you guys did in arithmetic. Is we know A4, we know find A1, we just do A4 minus A1 equals to 3D. Again, we cannot use this because this is for arithmetic. So for geometric, in order for you to find A1, same thing, we divide. So A4 over by A1 equals to R to the power of 3. Okay, again, the R to 3 is because the difference is 3. We know A4 is negative 18. A1 we do not know, so leave A1 here. R is this negative 1/3, and you cube it. Okay, so again, solve for A1. So go ahead, solve for A1 for me here. Question, you get.
I got 486.
486. And once you got A1 and R, you just plug it back into this formula and you will get your AN term. So AN in this case is 486 1/3 your R times n minus 1. So this is your AN term in this case. So make sure you guys, it's very similar to arithmetic. So instead of subtraction and D, we use division and R. So again, very heavy on calculator. So make sure you guys know how to use your calculator to find all these numbers. And then if a question, I think this question wants us to find this, what term? The sixth term. So you just put n is 6. Then you just do 486 times 1/3 to the power of 5, because 6 minus 1 is 5, and then again calculator. Questions? So this is how we use the AN terms here to figure out. Next, we'll do the sum. Okay. So so we have the sum of the finite, and then we have the sum of the infinite. The difference between sum of finite and sum of infinite is the summation. So if you have a number like 7 or 12, means that this is a sum of your finite. If you have an infinity like this, means it's a sum of an infinite. Okay, so that's how you figure out if they're having sum of finite, infinite. So if you do sum of the finite, the sum of the finite formula is given us by A1, 1 minus Rn over by 1 minus R. So for question number 9, they give us that the summation in this case is from 7 till n equals 1. This is 4 and 1. Now, I would really want you guys to give me the geometric series here, a sequence here. Just 3 of them is enough. Then we know, then with this, you know your A1 and your R. So a lot of students make mistake here by thinking about the 4 is your A1, not necessary. So first, I want you guys to plot n is 1, what you guys get. When n is 1, you get 4 to the power of 0, right? And 4 to the power of 0 is 1. And what happens when you do n is 2? N is 2, you will get 4. When n is 3, 3 minus 2, you get 16, 4 squared. So this is 4, 0, 4, 1, 4, 2, and you're gonna do all the way. If you want in your test, you could do all the way to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then after that, take your calculator out and add this up, and that's your answer. Okay, so this is one way to do it without using the formulas, because n is 7 is small enough, so you can actually, do this. Put n is 1, n is 2, n is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because n is 7, and then you just add it up. But if you want to use this formula, which I would recommend, because this is the class that we're doing, is summation here. We know that your A1 in this case is 1. Your R in this case is divide, so it's 4. And then we just, we know n in this case is 7 because it go all the way up till 7. So to find all the way up till 7, because 7 is the last term here, we will do the first term A1, which is 1, times 1 minus R, which is 4, to the power of 7. Your R is 7. Your n is 7, sorry. R is 4, n is 7, over by 1 minus R, 1 minus 4. So you just plot this, and the sum here is your n is 7 in this case. Okay, by looking at this, this is just highest, your upper. And then take out your calculator and then figure this one out. Again, this 1 times, you do not need to do 1 times because 1 times is, the same thing. So you just take what is 1 minus 4 to the 7 over by 1 minus 4. Again, class, when you do this in your calculator, you need extra parentheses here because your calculator will follow orders of operations. So if you just type 1 minus 4 to the power of 7 divided by 1 minus 4, you will got totally different answers if you put them in parentheses. This is the correct way to do it. And that will be your answer in this case. Okay, make sure you know the power of parentheses. So you get 5,461. Questions, anyone? And yes, if you do 1, 4, 16, and what is that? This is 4, 0, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4, 3, 64. Yep. So if you figure this one and add all the way up here, you should still get 546. So in your finals, if you're doing the way that I just showed it to you this way, which is you didn't use the formula, but you still use the way, you still get full points. Okay, you still get the full points, but you need to tell me how you get your correct answer here. So either way, you need to figure out, either way, you have to tell me what is your, how do you do your work? You still get full points, no matter which way you do. Questions? Same thing with number 12. Number 12 is a bit more work because you start from 1 to 12. So if you're doing this the long way, you have to go all the way to 12, and then you have to add them. But if you do the shortcut, you just figure out the first 2, 3, and then you know your A1 and your R, and your N in this case is 12, and then you plug it into this form. Oh, why don't you guys do question 12? There you go. 10. Question 10. You add from 1 till 12, 16, 1/2 I minus 1. So give me, I will recommend you to do the formula way. So do not use the shortcut. So put I is 1 here, I is 2, I is 3. You will get a number. Don't forget, N in this case is 12 because we go all the way up to 12. And when got what you get when you plug 1 in here, what you have? Plug 1 in here, what you get?
16.
16. Yeah. Plug 2 in here, what you get?
8.
8. Because you divide by 2. And plug 3 in here, what do you get?
4.
4. So you notice that your A1 in this case is 16. And your R in this case is what? What's the common ratio here? Is
I got A for A1 for the one.
I'm sorry, Faris.
I got 8, not 16 for the first one. I just
You
put 6.
plug 1 in here, right? Do you
Yeah.
put parentheses on this?
Let me see.
These are Faris. These are very basic calculator words. So
I still get 8.
16 to the parentheses of 1/2 power of 1 minus 1, you still get 8.
Mm-hmm. This is what I'm getting right now. I'm copying exactly what you're telling me.
Can you show it to me?
I don't know how I'm supposed to do that. My camera is not turning
Yep.
on, but I
That's
can
the only
send
thing
you
is
an email
show it
for
to me.
I'll send you an email for all that later if you want.
I want to see it. Yep.
Yeah, I got you.
That's the reason why I hate doing Zoom class, because I cannot see what you guys doing.
Yeah, me too.
And if you got 8, that would be all wrong. Right. So make sure it's 1/2 to the power of 1 minus 1. So now we got all this. So so your A1 is 16, not 8. Your R in this case is 1/2. So you will plug this all into this formula. So A1 in this case will be 16. 1 minus R. You can use 0.5 because 1/2 is the same thing as 0.5 to the power of N is 12 over by 1 minus 0.5. Okay, so you just plug it into your formula and then use your calculator to figure out. So yes, Faris, I want to see, you sure you get 8? I don't think so. Again,
Well,
you use division here, we don't use ABC. Can you enable your webcam and just like show it to me like this?
I'm trying it right now. So if you put, yeah, I just put in parentheses 1 instead of 1 minus 1.
Why you put parentheses? It should be 1 minus 1.
Yeah, I put 1 instead.
Right, so we do 16, 1 minus 0.5 to the power of 12 divided by, ooh, this one is special. Yep. I want you guys to try this. Everyone, please take out your calculator and try this. See what you guys get. In class, make sure you know this is following orders of operations. So your calculator is following orders of operations. Like what we did last time, parentheses are very important. So if you do not put parentheses on all this, you will get problems in your calculator. So those are the things that I want to point out to you guys. Parentheses are super important in your calculators. Anyone got this answer?
I got 0.0078125. So just 0.0078.
That'll be wrong.
That'd be wrong. Okay.
Well, because when you add this, you cannot be 0, right?
Yeah.
Common sense that this is a big 16 plus 8 already 20 something. So there's no way you can get 0 point something. So again, where you people, if you get this 0.00 something, why you get wrong is because of what? Parentheses. Do you put parentheses around this?
I got 31.99.
Yep, 31.992 will be the right answer.
Yeah.
Okay, again, class, look at your, it's very easy. If you don't forget your parentheses, look at your, what you type in, follow orders of operation. Is that what the same thing as what you want, what the question wants you to do? Because your calculator is following orders of operation. So again, make sure you guys put parentheses on things, especially when you divide and when you do power. Now, do you guys got 31.992 something? So I want you guys to look at this formula and then please put a parenthesis on here for your calculator purposes. Okay, so same thing happens in your notes here. So when you guys do this, I recommend you guys to give an extra parenthesis here and a parenthesis here. Just, you know, it's for your calculator purposes, because a lot of students put parentheses around like what I'm showing you here is because it's calculator. And don't give me this. And once you give me this, kind of common sense, you add these numbers out. There's no way you get 0.0. This is already, 20 something already. So it's not going to be 0 plus. Questions, anyone? And the last thing we're going to talk about here is the last formula, which is now we do a infinite geometric series. The formula for infinite geometric series is A1 over by 1 minus R. Again, class, this 1 minus R, put a parenthesis on it because of calculator purposes. So this kind of questions is asking for like finding the infinite geometric series for this case, like number 12, because we have an infinity symbol on it, or you add up nonstop to infinity. So this is how we figure out. So the first thing we're gonna do here is to, again, if I didn't give you a sequence like this, you have to figure out your sequence. Find the first 3 sequences first. Then you figure out your A1 and your R. We don't need to know N because N in this case is infinity. So put n equals to 0. What do you get? You will get 4. Then put n equals to 1. What do you get? You get 0.8, right? And then one more time, put n equals to 2. This is 0.16. So we know that A1 in this case will be 4. Now to find your R, you can either take the second term divided by the first term, or the third one divided by the second one. So I just take the second, so it's 0.8 divided by 4. So in this case, it's 0.2. Now, in order for you to find this sum of the infinite series, your absolute value of R should be less than 1. You have to fulfill this special condition first before you plug it in. So my question to you is, do you fulfill this condition for number 12? Is your R is less than 0.1? Less than 1, sorry. If your R is less than 1.
Yep.
Yes, because R in this case is 0.2. 0.2 is less than 1. So we can use this formula, which is 4 over by 1 minus 0.2. And again, parenthesize this. It's like a 5, something. So you get 5. Yep. So this is your answer for the infinite sum. Okay. If I give you something like this, then you do not need to worry about figure this one out, because we can do your A1. So your A1 in this case is 1/9. Your R in this case is negative 1/3 divided by 1/9. So you take negative 1/3 divided by 1/9. And again, class, parenthesize this. This is for your calculator purposes. So what you get here. I also taking attendance, so please put present in the chat. So you get what? -3, right? Can we use this formula in this case? Can we use this formula? A1 equals to 1 minus R. Can you use this formula?
No.
Because
The absolute value of R is greater than 1.
Because the absolute R in this case is greater than 1. So the sum is infinity in this case is the end. Okay. So make sure you guys know that if your absolute of R is less than 1, you can use this formula. If your absolute of R is greater than 1, then the sum is the end. Okay, because -3. Yep.
So for geometric sums, if R is the absolute value of R is greater than 1, it does not exist.
Yep, for infinity, just for the infinity case. Okay, just for the infinity case, not for the finite case. The finite case, you're still able for, just for using this formula. If that infinity. So make sure you guys know that only for infinity cases. But for the finite case, you're still able to sum. So finite means stop. If you stop half like finite, your answer isn't, you don't get D and E, you got an answer. But for infinity, this is what you got. Anyone have any questions? This is the two sections, 11.2 and 11.3, arithmetic and geometric series and sequences. So make sure you understand this. Again, there are quite a few formulas here, and again, you are allowed to use one front page of notes in your test. So make sure you guys use this as you write all this formula down. So again, as what Adrian says, only the sum of infinities, your R has to be less than 1 to use this formula. Otherwise, if your R is greater, your absolute value R is greater than 1, your sum of infinity will be does not exist. Anyone have any questions for me before we end our Zoom class here? On Wednesday, we'll do the last section of this class, which will be 11.5. So we'll do what we call as a binomial series here, binomial theorem. So, so we will talk about this binomial theorem on Wednesday class. Okay. So make sure you guys start working on your homework, because there are some homework due on this Wednesday. So this Wednesday you will have 11.1 and 11.2, and then this Sunday is 11.3 and 11.5. Okay, so you got 4 homework left here. So 2 homework due by this Wednesday, and then 2 more homework due by the Sunday, the 12th by midnight. And then on the 13th is where you get your final test. On Monday, the December 13th, you will get your final test in this case. Anyone have any questions for me? You got a little bit left here, not a lot left. I'm going to stop here. So if you have questions, do stay.